We start today, day one of the. We don't even put a name on the podcast. What is the name of the podcast? That should be the starting point. What is the name of your podcast?
No Frills with Dr. B.
Okay, say it again.
No,
I like it. No frills. Okay.
No Frills with Barbara.
I feel
Or Dr.
like
Barbara.
don't.
Dr. Dominguez. No Frills.
I feel that's
Leaving it all on the table with Dr. Barbara.
Okay. I like the first one better.
No Frills.
No frills. Yeah, because I think that's the
No
Barbara.
frills.
I think that's the
En
Barbara
español.
I know. That's the
Okay.
Barbara I know.
So no Frills with Barbara? Or Dr. Barbara?
Dr. B.
Okay, no Frills with Dr. B.
Yeah. I like that one. Because most people, I mean, now these days, everybody instead of call you Dr. Dominguez, they call you Barbara.
Yeah.
But Dr. B, I think it sounds cool.
Okay.
And since I know a lot of the conversations is going to be for the new generations,
Okay.
so I think they will feel much cooler to say Dr. B than say
Okay.
like Barbara. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So you think that's okay?
That's good.
So that's going to be the name.
Yeah. If we're going to be talking about the generation, why don't we open up this conversation with how the generations think in the workplace nowadays?
I think that's a great topic.
Knowing that you're the director of operations, what have you encountered lately in our office?
That I know you say no thrills, but I don't think
No
I'm ready.
thrills. No frills.
No frills. Okay, no frills, but I know I'm not ready to have those conversations open and reveal that information. But I mean, I know it can be a little hard. You know, I think the hardest part is to the new generation is their mentality. I think they got positive and negative things.
So their mindset is their biggest challenge.
Yes, I agree 100%.
I agree with that. And I really think that they're not looking at the other side of the token. I think
Yes.
that they're very easy to criticize. And I think they're very easy to get into their emotions and see what's in the best interest for themselves, but not really looking at the perspective of a business owner and why they put certain standards on their employees to perform at their highest in order to achieve certain goals for the company.
Yes, I agree. I think it's hard because I don't know, like, I see other companies, I'm not going to mention any names, but I see other companies and they hire, they have, one of the kids approached to me and said like, oh, now they're hiring like for 14 years old. And in my head, it's like, how are they hiring like 14 years old? I mean, how? Like, in my head, it's like how you teach a 14-year-old, like, it's going to be a part-timer, right?
Yeah.
But
Well,
how
I
you-
don't even know. Is that even allowed in the Georgia State of Labor?
I searched it up because I thought
Because I know 15, yeah, but 14?
No, some places, I'm not going to mention their name, but it's
Right.
a fast food restaurant, well
Got it.
known, with a chicken and everything. But
Wow.
I didn't mention the name. Okay. But so they say some locations, they actually allow 14-year-olds like to start working in the location.
Okay.
And to me, that's a challenge.
Right.
Right? Because sometimes like even a 20-something can be a challenge. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine a 14-year-old.
Yeah. Well, it depends because I think the earlier you get them and the earlier that you can show them
Okay.
what the responsibilities are. And if you get them to be in the right mindset at an earlier age, I actually think that they're going to be far more ahead in life in the future. Actually.
Yeah, I can see that, but how much? Because somehow, like they get some of your. I mean, it's gonna be a part timer, so they only do what 4 hours, 6 hours.
Right.
So how much can you teach a kid on 6 hours or 4 hours? The rest is at home.
That's true. But honestly, if you're talking about this chicken place,
Yeah.
I will say not for nothing, but their manners are at 100%
Customer
on
service.
point, and customer service is on point. So they must be doing something right.
Yeah.
So, hey, I would trust them into teaching my kid at 14 years old
Yeah.
to know how to do
They
their
must doing
job
something
right.
right,
They must be
yeah.
doing something right at an early age.
I realize that you can get a long way just saying my pleasure.
That's
Right?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
I
a
think you're
simple
giving
thing.
too many
Just a simple thing. You
too many
never know,
clues
man.
here.
There's a lot of places.
You said chicken. You said my pleasure.
Eh,
I mean, all you want
mean,
to
I
say
can
is
give
that the
you
color
more
red and white. I mean, and then we
Yeah,
just know everything.
I can give you more hints, but it's okay. I know. I was just. I think it's that maybe because our generation come from like we used to work for free. Yes
Right.
or no?
Yeah.
When
And volunteering was a part of the
volunteer
process.
was part of the process. Like back in the day, it's like if you want to do something, if you want to, I remember, our parents saying like, hey, if you want to get into like
A certain
inside
industry.
a company,
Right.
is like, hey, work for free. Just
Right.
offer your job, like work for free, so that way you get a step into the industry.
Yeah.
And then eventually, if you got potential, they will give you the opportunity.
Opportunity.
Yes or no?
That's right. Yeah.
But this generation doesn't
Believe in
that.
free work.
The first
No.
thing they ask you, most of the interviews that we do with HR, what is the first question that they ask?
How much do you pay and what are you offering? What benefits?
Exactly.
And how much PTO time?
So you see how they switch.
Exactly.
Now from day one, they start asking you like, what are you offering me?
Right.
Instead of like, let me show you what I got, or let me offer you my service, or let me show you who I am.
Well, if you talk to the old timers, a lot of them will say that this generation feels some sort of entitlement,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I heard that before too.
Yeah. So
And I agree.
by hearing entitlement, then that means a one-way street. When in reality, all relationships in the workforce, any type of relationship, it's really a two-way street. It's like, what can you do for me and what can I do for you? And we compromise. However, this generation feels very entitled to say, what do I get? And what do I get? And what do I get? And they bring no value to the table whatsoever. However, they want to be compensated as if they were a top player in a company.
Yeah.
And then when you're actually giving them constructive criticism as to what you think that they can do better, they get into their emotional state and now it becomes a problem.
Okay. I notice also that, in different cultures, how different culture actually they go and they approach to the oldest people in the family. They go to grandparents and ask for advice, right?
Right.
And do you think that's still a thing, or you see these kids sometimes they are not?
Not really. I think the generations has changed a lot. I think there's a lot of broken homes nowadays. And by having a lot of broken homes, it means that maybe you're not very close to your immediate family or your grandparents or things like that. So people don't look up to anybody in the older generation anymore. So sometimes they're learning a lot of things in the streets and probably it's not the best way to learn things.
Okay. You think that's at maybe I mean, obviously from the Hispanic side, because I know we are like that. You think that's like that in every generation? I would love to know if you some kind of like some people, some races, they still believe into that. They still reach out to other people. They still reach out to grandparents or even like their own parents.
Yeah.
They reach out. Hey, they look for advice. Because I know one thing I noticed is like, which is I think that's awesome. The people now, they're always looking for mentors. No?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to tell you. I think it's mindset. Because if you have a mindset and an open, willingful mentality to want to learn from others, then that will propulse you forward to want to go ahead and get mentors in your life.
Yeah.
But if you're very prideful and you're afraid of showing your vulnerabilities or afraid of stating, hey, I just don't know how to do this, are you willing to show me? I don't think there's a lot of people in this generation that are going to, show their vulnerabilities like that to be able to get a mentor to help them out. It's very few.
Yeah, I agree. I know, I was kind of like that too. My wife, for people that doesn't know, I'm going to admit it. Okay. She was right. One more time. Good job. She told me like years ago, she told me like when we start working together, she told me like it was going to take me more than 1 year to learn this industry. And obviously,
He slammed the door
I slammed
various
the door,
times
yes.
and took
I was
himself
upset.
out of the team
I was
group
upset.
chats.
But I was upset because it was nothing in my life, I would say, even though you're still learning, that was wrong to say, but nothing that really took me so long to learn. And I think I misunderstood what you were trying to say. Because even though doing this for so long, I think I'm still learning every day, right? Because things are changing and all that stuff. But I think that when you tell somebody like, hey, that's going to take you 1 year, no, if somebody might take it like the way I took it, it's like, hey, you must think I'm dumb or something, right?
Yeah. Well, when I met you, I think you had a lot of amazing characteristics
Thank you. I appreciate it. You got that on video, right? I want to watch this video later.
that honestly, I think it was impressive because I knew that you had the qualities to be successful in anything that you did. And that's probably why I fell in love with you as well. However, you know, when you get to learn an industry with the magnitude of ever changing laws and ever changing, you know, marketing and ever changing different things that you got to learn and so many puzzle pieces in this industry, I knew for sure the amount of time that it took me to learn all these changing things, it was going to take you at least a whole year for you to get at least your feet wet. And I know at the time that it seemed a little bit mind-blowing from your end, but I think over the long run, I think now you're actually a mirror of me, that when we're actually hiring people, that's one of the first things that you say. So I think that was a learning curve for you.
Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like I can be more patient to those people because I see a reflection of myself sometimes. Because I understand, like sometimes people, they might feel like, hey, you know what? I don't think it would take me long. Or some people are like fast learners.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that might take it the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, let me open this conversation up. I remember that when you started working for me and even Daisy started working for me, one of your pet peeves was you hated the fact that I changed my mind constantly.
Yeah,
that could be a Libra thing, but but in reality, as a business owner, I was able to identify very quickly that things need to change quickly in order to succeed. Yes. If you don't change quickly and you harp on it, then it could take you longer to accept the failure. And then it'll be longer for you to fix that before you can move on to the next level. So I was able to learn that at a very young age or very early in my career.
Yeah.
So by saying that, lately, some of the younger generations try to criticize us, starting to say that, hey, you know what, you have a constant turnover in employees. And I want to address that, you know, because the same goes for that as well. You know, I really embrace constant turnover because, you know, in our business, we really pride ourselves in customer service and giving the best service out there to the whole community. And by saying that, I say we want A players in our game. And in order for us to find A game players, you know, it's probably 1 in 1,000.
Yeah.
So in order to find that A player that's willing to go the extra mile, that's willing to be an A player consistently on an everyday basis, that's a mindset, you know? And in order to find that person, sometimes you got to go through many, many people to achieve that. So do you want to elaborate on that as to how you look at it from your perspective now about me changing my mind constantly, or of the turnover rate, how important it is in order for a business to succeed? So although they look at it from a negative perspective, it's really coming from a positive perspective.
Yeah, I already told. I think we have various conversations where I always told you, like, I think you're very natural. You know, I think that's a natural talent. You know, now I read more books about business and, you know, personal development and all that stuff. And the more I notice is like, I gotta read something sometimes to learn something new.
Right.
But the more I read, I realize, because I know you don't read the same books that I do sometimes, but you come out with those ideas on your own.
Right.
If it make any sense. So I notice that like I always tell you, I think you're more like a Messi. You're very natural. That's just a natural thing that come out to you, like that you come out with ideas, or you come out, and then months later, I read different books about business development and all that stuff, and I see your ideas on those pages,
Right.
which is like, it's hard for me to accept that you were right, but you're absolutely right. You know, when I see those things, I'm like, okay, that's amazing how you like come out with those things. When myself, I feel like I'm more like I always say like I'm more like Cristiano Ronaldo because Cristiano Ronaldo, I think he's amazing. He got trophies. He probably got the same, some of the same accomplishments that Messi had, but he's training every day. He gotta to do this shot. He gotta practice that same shot probably like 3,000 times until he like profession that especially shot
Right.
the whatever he gotta do. But I think that's the difference. You
Right.
know, like a lot of people, I think they gotta go to personal coaches. They gotta hire people. They gotta read books. They gotta, find a mentor or something to kind of like be able to develop those things.
Right.
When you are more natural.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. I think like yeah, definitely is like even though when you don't understand, for me at that point was very hard because it's not like you can go by the book. It's not
Right.
like you say like okay, this is what we're gonna do, and when you start doing that, you just made a change. Why? Because you are ahead of the game.
Right.
Like you realize in 2 hours or less than a week, you realize that is not a good idea and that is not the outcome is not gonna be good.
Right.
So you change it completely and now you perfect that idea. So I think, yeah, that's a talent.
Okay.
I think that's something that could just come out like that.
Right. So knowing all of this, right, and we are actually seeing as parents all of the faultiness that we see in the new generations, right? How do you think, or do you think that the way that we approach our kids, raising them and growing up, how do you think that we can make them better so they have a step forward into the workplace when they get older?
I think basically what we're saying, I think the talking part is very important. I think bringing your kids sometimes when you can, obviously, not everybody can, but I mean, when you bring your kids to work, when you surround yourself with your kids, you bring your kids to different things, part of your job, your daily routine.
Right.
You are teaching them structure. You're teaching them like different
Discipline.
things. Discipline, obviously. You teaching them
Motivation.
motivation. You can teach them so many things that it will help in the future. And like I said, a lot of times, even though when you think your kids are very young, they are just listening to you. Remember, those kids are going to school like how many hours every day?
Right.
Something is gonna stay with them. They're not gonna remember maybe every multiplication until they are I don't know how long.
Right.
But they're gonna remember something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those kids, the more time they spend with you, the more time you dedicate to those kids, they're gonna remember.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. I think that's how kids are gonna be like, okay, well, I want to do this, I want to do that, or I remember my mom told me this, I remember my dad told me this,
Right.
So I think that's important for the new generations. And I think, like I said, I think they are very smart. They got access to things that we never had access. That's a reality. I mean, right now, if you get a question, you either ask Siri or Google, even
Or
Alexa.
Alexa.
Exactly. So that was something that we never had in our life.
We had to stroll through encyclopedias and
Encyclopedia,
dictionaries.
exactly. I remember my dad used to have like so many of those encyclopedias, and then you gotta go. And I mean, for me, then you kind of like hold those questions because
Yeah.
if you were sitting in the table and you have one question and you say like, "Oh, Dad, what does this mean?" Oh, you want to know what it means? Let's go to the, like, oh my God, please no. I don't want to go. Then you got to go
Yeah.
search it up. And it's like
Yeah.
one encyclopedia take you to another.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that was like time consuming. So
Yeah.
you hold those questions. You get like, you
Yeah.
know what? I don't want to go to that process anymore.
Yeah.
So you hold those questions.
Yeah. I know the one thing that we have been doing with our kids in our family, which I really truly enjoy, is every time we have an issue at the office, I come home and I ask all my kids, what do they think about the situation and how they would handle it? Because we get different perspectives. As they are young, they look at it from their generation's perspective, and we look at it from another. So it's easier for me to draw up a conclusion as how we can compromise with the younger generation, with the older generation. So that way we can come up with something that is feasible for the two. And that somehow we can make it worthwhile for the company to work at 100% or work at its top priority with the same commitment levels from the older generation and the younger generation, but kind of meeting in the middle, if that makes sense. And I love listening to my kids when they talk, because sometimes we look at it from a different perspective. I remember we once had an issue on Instagram, and I listened to my son explaining that perspective from an Instagram young generation, and it totally made sense. And I would have never thought about it like that. And actually, I came up with a decision mostly based on what my son described was probably the best tactic to handle it. And I thought that was amazing, because I think that, you know, the younger generation can learn from the older generation, but also the older generation can learn from the younger generation. And I think the mixture of the two is what's going to bring it together, you know? And
I agree. I like that.
yeah. And I think that that's awesome, you know, to be able to have a mindset where you are flexible in your ideas, and a mindset where, hey, you know, we're a team of players. There's no individualist here. We're a team of player, and everybody can bring something to the table in a positive way. Now bring all the good things in a positive way to the table. And how do we work this together with the older generation and their experience, with the younger generation and all of the innovative things that they can bring to the table as well.
You got to have a very open
Balance.
open mind.
You have to have an open mind from both,
both,
the older generation and the younger generation. But I think that collab can take any company to the next level. And I'm pretty sure that's what the, you know, Fortune 500 companies do out there, like Google and like all of those other big companies. They probably collab together with the experience, because the younger generation cannot skip through experience no matter how much they try to. And the experience can be brought to the table by the older generation. But then all the innovative things are being brought to the table by the younger generation. So if you have open mindsets from both, then man, I think the sky's the limit for any company out there.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's we have different departments in the business. So I know some departments are better to be run by a younger like person that hire like a different type of person, you know, like
Marketing. I think marketing, a lot of the younger generations flourish.
Yeah, I think marketing is like one of the things that you definitely need to have a younger generation. We got to remember that these kids grew up with phone, with cameras, with computers, so they know how to put it out there. I mean, now these days you see all these kids, YouTubers that are multimillionaires at the age of 20 years old.
Right. So I think the outcome and the solution to this generational quarrel is mindset. If we can all have an open mindset, I really, really think that all companies out there would take it. The sky's the limit.
So we got to listen to each other.
Listen to each other and have an open mindset where we're able to work together to make any company flourish.
Right.
That is my take on it.
I like it. So new generations, old generations need to come together and work together.
Exactly.
We learn from each other.
Exactly.
I like that.
All right. Till the next podcast.
To the next one.
All right.